What is happiness? What does it mean to be happy? We all pursue happiness in one way or the other. What constitutes the happiness of your qalb? And first, try to understand the nature of the qalb. What is the origin of the qalb? What is the world of the qalb? What is the dimension of the qalb? Is the dimension of this qalb that we were talking about here, is it the same dimension as the stomach? Or the hands? Or the tongue? Or the eyes? Or the ears that are all physical and four-dimensional? The origin of this qalb is a different world, is the world of the ruh. The world of the ruh. That's the origin and the nature of this qalb. It is not a physical, material, four-dimensional nature. It is a rawhani nature beyond these four dimensions. Our qalb has its origin, yes, in the world of the ruh, but it is mounted on or inside this physical, worldly, earthly, four-dimensional body. And therefore, this qalb that we are talking about, if you will, has two windows, or two eyes, if you will, or it directs itself in two ways. One towards the earthly, four-dimensional nature, because of our body and we live in this world, and the other one is directed like a radar towards the rawhani origin of it. And when I and you forget this purpose, then we stray away from the route that Allah Azza wa Jal designed for us in pursuit of happiness. For you all know that we originated in Jannah. That's home. That's the original home. In Jannah. And then we were made to leave Jannah. You know why. But Allah Azza wa Jal gave us another chance, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And He says, come back home. I'm going to allow you to come back home. And you come back home, that home of happiness, if you pursue this path. And he who or she who arrives back home safely, having taken the path designed by Allah Azza wa Jal to take us back home, that is the ultimate sa'id. That is the ultimate happy one. فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ سَعِدُوا فَفِي الْجَنَّةِ خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا مَا دَامَتِ السَّمَاوَاتُ وَالْأَرْضُ إِلَّا مَا شَاءَ رَبُّكَ عَطَاءً غَيْرَ مَجْذُوذٍ, says Allah Azza wa Jal. Ultimately, those who are happy or will be happy are those whose abode will be Jannah, dwelling therein eternally. Knowledge has a source, right? What is the source of all knowledge? There is nothing that compares in the sa'ada generated with knowing the source of knowing. And that is the ultimate sa'ada of the qalb. Am I aware of my sa'ada? Am I aware of what constitutes sa'ada? Am I aware of this path of achieving sa'ada? Or not? The extent of my awareness of that sa'ada depends on the extent of, if you will, the extent of the degree to which my heart, my qalb is polished. It depends on the state of my nafs. Now, when do I know that my qalb is not in a normal state? Let's say my qalb is sick. When is my qalb sick? I must know what's the function of my qalb. What's the function of my qalb? We have established already that it is to seek ilm, to seek ma'rifah, to seek nearness to the source of knowing. And then mahabbatullah azza wa jal. And then that leads to the love, the deep hubb, the deep love for Allah azza wa jal. Then if my qalb, if your qalb has suddenly not this interest, my qalb or yours is not attracted to know, is not attracted to ma'rifah, if my qalb or yours does not find its sweetness, its joy, its pleasure, its happiness in knowing, in ilm, and in being through that ilm nearer to Allah Azza wa Jal, and instead it likes and finds delight and pleasure and happiness in other things, therefore, by the very definition given earlier, my qalb is sick. And when my qalb is sick, I am deprived of the true essence of happiness. The state of that heart is most fundamental. The state of that heart is my khuluq. Now remember, and the challenge and the moral challenge. I seek happiness and there is moral challenge. Because my qalb is influenced by my nafs on one side, the lower state of being, and it is influenced by the ruh from the other side. Then the ill that comes from where? From the nafs. So if my nafs is very ill, is very greedy, is very selfish, is an ammara, and I shall come more to that, then my qalb reflects the state of my nafs, especially if the state of my nafs overrides the influence of the ruh on my qalb. Qalb takes the features of your nafs. Your khuluq is your inner image, whereas your khalq is your outer image. We know that. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us when we look into a mirror to say, Allahumma anta hassanta khalqi fahassin khuluqi wa harrim wajhi ala nar. He taught us to say, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when we looked into a mirror, Ya Allah, what means, Ya Allah, you have beautified my outer image, so beautify my inner image. And the word is khuluq. So the khuluq is your inner image. And that inner image is defined in words by some ulama rahimahumullah ta'ala, is hay'atun rasikhatun fi nafs تصدر عنها الأفعال بيسر وسهولة من غير فكر وروية. Which means your khuluq, or your inner image, is a state of your nafs. Rasikha, constant, it has reached a steady state, in other words. It's a steady state, it's a constant state of your nafs, as a consequence of which actions are generated externally with facility and ease, without recourse to design and pre-thinking. In other words, a person who reacts in haya, you know what haya means? That quality of Islam. Some people, alhamdulillah, they have naturally haya. It comes very natural. So we say the khuluq of this person is haya. But when somebody like me struggles to show haya, that is yet to be my khuluq in this definition. لأنه هيئة راسخة في النفس. So as long as I'm struggling, alhamdulillah, that's good. But it is yet to become the way I look inside. That's the way I'm trying to look inside. And as I struggle, I'm trying to build the inner image of haya. But until and unless I reach the level of when haya comes naturally from me, I do not claim the khuluq of haya. The khuluq of generosity, a person who is generous. If a person gives sometimes in accordance to this definition, then we do not say that the inner image of that person is generous. But we say this person shows generosity. And until that generosity becomes natural in my nafs, I don't find the struggle to be generous. Do you know what I mean? Most of us do that, don't we? Which is still good, alhamdulillah. Now, since we said the khuluq is a state of the nafs, a khuluq of the nafs could be miserliness, could be greed, could be anger, could be attachment to wealth, to dunya, could be the desire for authority, for leadership, could be any khuluq madhmoom or khuluq mamduh. So if the external acts generated by this inner state of the nafs are externally beautiful, then we say the khuluq is beautiful. If the external act generated by the nafs inside is ugly, we say the khuluq is ugly. Now, the state of my qalb, remember, depends on the state of my nafs. Remember, many of us pursue happiness by attaining different types of food and different types of drinks, and by marrying different men and different women, and by buying cars and big homes, and sometimes by acquiring territory, and sometimes by killing, and sometimes by designing, and so on and so forth. That's how many people pursue their happiness, and they believe it is happiness. The challenge is, the moral challenge is to know. Now, the next point, because the state of my qalb depends on the state of my nafs, I've got to know what nafs I have in order, inshallah ta'ala, to enable our qalb to be in state of health, and therefore to undertake the path of happiness and hopefully to achieve it, inshallah ta'ala. What nafs do I have? There are 4 types of nafs, if you will. All of these forces are inside everyone. Which one dominates? Which one do I nourish? There is the bahimi nafs, or the cattle-like nafs. What is the major characteristics that define the satisfaction of these types of animals? Eating, drinking, sleeping, yes, copulating. And each one of us has that call. We like to eat and drink and sleep and copulate, men and women. And if my focus in my life, if when I go to work and I come on the weekends and every day and every night, my focus is to nourish my bahimi nafs, then that should be my focus. The next nafs is a sab'i nafs, from sab'i, or predatory. Is attacking, killing, usurping territory, dominating, acquiring more land, more territory. And the one who wants to build a predatory nafs, or has a predatory nafs, then nourishes this predatory instinct. And that is the shaitani nafs. What is characteristic of shaitani tendencies? Conspire, design, plot, incite to evil, incite to harm, incite to disbelief, incite to arrogance, incite to lordship. And there is the malaiki nafs, alhamdulillah. That is malaiki, or angelic, or the divine attributes, if you will, within you and me. There is the nafs that is rawhani, that is malaiki. And the nature of the ruh is it earthly? No, it's heavenly. Yearning that Allah Azza wa Jal put in the nafs of Bani Adam, that yearning to its own origin. Remember, I started with a journey back home. There is a yearning for that going back home. There is that yearning for attaining that which brings that ruh, that nafs rawhani, nearest to its final destination. If I take time to meditate about my nafs, I shall learn a lot about my nafs. Which one do I nourish regularly? Which one do I nourish from when I wake up in the morning till when I go to bed? My dreams tell me a lot about my nafs. How is the path of pursuit of my happiness? And then I know my challenge, my moral challenge. My moral challenge is to nourish which nafs at the expense to which nafs? My moral challenge is to nourish my malaiki nafs, that nafs that is nourished by ilm and by ma'rifah. That nafs whose satisfaction is nearness to the source of knowing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To nourish that nafs at the expense of the other states of the nafs. So when that nafs is nourished, and the other states of the nafs, in particular the cattle-like and the predatory-like, are given only that which is necessary for survival and for helping the malaiki nafs, then I have achieved equilibrium. Then I have met the challenge, the moral challenge, in pursuit of happiness. But once I know, and it is a rahmah from Allah Azza wa Jal to know, hopefully I begin to embark on the challenge, to take on the challenge, to bring balance to the states of my nafs, so that my pursuit of happiness is maximized. My attainment of happiness is optimized indeed. Knowledge is empowerment. If I don't know, I am powerless. That's why knowledge of the source of knowledge is the ultimate knowledge, and it leads to the ultimate happiness. But it always begins with, I know. If I don't know, I have not even begun the process. So the process begins where? Knowing. Pursuit of ilm. Seeking ilm. The schools that you have built. The masjid that you have. all are important and necessary and vital means for attaining ilm. That ilm which enables you and helps us undertake the path back to Allah Azza wa Jal, back home. Not any ilm. There is fatty ilm. There is ilm that when you take that ilm, it's a fatty diet. Because what we need for this nafs to be balanced is number one, ilm. Cannot begin my path back to Allah Azza wa Jal without this ilm. I just cannot. We do not go to Allah with ignorance. We do not. Allah Azza wa Jal defines the mission of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam within the context of the purpose of creation, namely the fulfillment of ubudiyyah to Allah Azza wa Jal. Within this context, Allah Azza wa Jal defines the mission of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a mission of imparting knowledge, ilm, and second, of polishing and purifying the nafs. هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين. Allah clearly in this ayah and three other ayat, very explicitly in the Quran and many other ayat also in the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jal tells us how to attain that happiness, how to get to finish the journey of ubudiyyah successfully back home by two things. Ilm, number two, tazkiyah. How do I beautify this inner image? The more you go against the nafs, the more you will build up spiritual energy that will enable you to do more and to face that challenge successfully. The more you give your nafs what it wants, and that is obeying the physical body and the limits of the physical body, like in the physical world, the weaker the nafs becomes. If you obey your body and you never exercise, you don't even walk, what happens to the muscles of the body? They will weaken. And then you try to run 100 meters and you can't even breathe. And your muscles hurt so bad if you have not done it for a while. In these physical laws of the universe, there are reasons and ways of reflection and lessons to be learned by those who reflect. And I like also to give this example to encourage us to work out this nafs in this moral challenge and to truly pursue happiness. And of course that requires knowledge and that requires a will, and the will develops. And something also very fundamental for that to occur is the dua. Dua, 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 dua. Ask Allah Azza wa Jal to help. Ask Allah Azza wa Jal to put you on this course. You can't do it alone. What's around us reflects what we are. That's all it is. The way the universe behaves with me, the way the environment responds to me, actually is another way to know myself. Wallahi alladhi la ilaha illa hu. And if it is difficult, then it is because I am difficult. And the degree of that difficulty depends on the degree of my difficulty. And if I disobey Allah Azza wa Jal, if I do wrong, if I violate the rights of Allah and the rights of the creatures of Allah Azza wa Jal, then rest assured, somehow, somewhere, sometime, my rights will be violated by someone else or something else. My challenge and your challenge, my dear brothers and sisters, in this pursuit of happiness is to know happiness and to strive for happiness. And to strive for happiness is to strive to reform my nafs.
يا أيها الناس قد جاءكم برهان من ربكم وأنزلنا إليكم نورا مبينا فأما الذين آمنوا بالله واعتصموا به فسيدخلهم في رحمة منه وفضل ويهديهم إليه صراطا مستقيما